All right, it's here. We made it. It is draft day one, and we are at the Rams pre-draft show presented by Zillow. JB Long back with my friends DeMarco Farr and Maurice Jones-Drew. Coming to you live from the Zillow Draft House in Hermosa Beach. We might be moving in.
What do you
They're going to have to evict us.
Yes. I've already picked my room.
Squatters' rights.
Right here, no doubt.
As you know, the Rams enter tonight with the 19th overall selection. If they pick tonight, it would be their first round selection since Jared Goff in 2016. DeMarco, what has life thrown at you since the Rams last picked in the first round?
Oh my God, a lot, a ton. Everything has happened. My daughter's grown up. One went to college, is about to graduate. The other one's 9 today. So a lot has happened since 2016, and I'm praying that you stay in the first round. Is that a good prayer? I hope everybody has the same prayer, right? No
question. Yeah.
Yeah. Been a lot that's gone on. I've grown. Yeah. As a person, and lost some weight in between.
Yeah.
Sounds like the only thing the Rams are not planning to put on the table tonight is whatever the Vikings did about 20 years ago, which is failed to get that trade.
Get that pick in. Yeah, that's crazy.
And lose their spot. How about you, Maurice, in 16?
A lot has changed for me too. Like, kids are growing up. I have a high schooler now. We're starting the recruiting process for college, which is crazy. Traveled the world. Been traveling a lot. I don't think I traveled the world until like 2017 or 8. So yeah, whatever.
That's been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well, our team had not yet been assembled, so
True.
8 years ago,
Wow.
I knew of you, but I didn't know you the way that we do now.
Yeah.
Both my children have been born since then, so
Wow.
it's been a long time.
This is our opportunity, our first opportunity for a first-round pick since Jared Goff. Please, Les. Please.
Well, what if he doesn't though?
Well, par for the course.
Then we can push it on to next year.
We can do it again. Yes.
Yeah, but when you're picking at 32 next year, it's going to be even easier to slip into
I like
Friday.
the way you think, sir. Love the way you think.
We also have not sat together since the AD years began, the after Aaron Donald years of the Los Angeles Rams. So I think that sets the table for tonight. Would you like to comment, big picture, about...
Well, you guys know how I feel about Aaron. I think he's the best player I've ever seen at the position. When you talk about just defensive tackles, the best is him. As defensive line, you got to put Reggie White in there, but he is right there on that Mount Rushmore. So from an offensive perspective, have you ever seen anything like Aaron? Can you validate what I see? Like, he is that good.
I played against Aaron. Definitely, it's weird because I feel like I'm in the same boat as a smaller person. People are like, oh, you can't do this. But
from that size.
Yeah, from that size, right? And then it's like, he does it. For me, I always wonder what it was going to be like for him to retire. Because I remember when I retired, and it was like, I just don't have it no more. But he still has it, right? And so that to me is the interesting part of, like, you were still playing at such a high level. And I mean, you might be fulfilled, but it's just like, when I retired, it was like, thank God.
It was time.
It was time.
See, I went back and I watched that Detroit film, and that's not a man that's about to retire. That's not the way a guy that's about to retire. That's not the way he plays. Right. He still has something in the tank. So I'm hoping beyond all hope that maybe it's a soft retirement.
Maybe
It's
one of those like, I hurt my back in training camp. Week 1, I'll be there.
Yeah.
As we spin it forward to now, the reason I put Aaron in there is because I think ever since we saw what Sean McVay was capable of as the new head coach of the Rams starting in 2017, this stretch of 7 years or so became about maximizing the opportunity that you had while you had the greatest defensive player walking the planet. So as we begin this chapter of the Los Angeles Rams, that's no longer the case. But based on the way Matthew Stafford played in the second half of last season, I think that window has been extended a year, maybe 2. And then I watched that Stafford documentary, and it seems like it's not lost on him the legacy opportunity that he has here in 2024. And you look at what the Rams did in free agency. They seem to be building around him the way that they did around Aaron so many years.
I think it's brilliant, and I love that locked-in series. And for me, it was like, aha, see, I told you. Look how tough this guy is. Look how smart he is. He shows up every day. He is a true quarterback. So, yeah, that window is wide open. And I think that's the thing, having Matthew Stafford as your quarterback, the quarterback of your franchise, the face of the football team. When Aaron retired, I think that's the thing that kept me from going to every dive bar in L.A., and being depressed.
Right.
You still have that guy, and the window is still open. So I think right now, if you had to play against anybody on Sunday with this offense, you'll be able to score points. Can't say that on defense just yet, but with Matthew Stafford, I think you have a chance. So, like I said, the window is wide open with Matthew Stafford.
You know, it's funny because people really didn't understand Matthew Stafford, and obviously being a Rams guy, when I talk to people out in the community or where I'm from in the Bay Area, they're like, "Oh, you're just saying that because you're a Rams guy." No, it's out now, right? There's a throw in against Detroit when he's booting to his left, and the guy's coming off the edge, and he flips his hips, and he's able to throw it under the guy and get it right to the tight end on the flat route. Like those type of plays and those type of games are what allows the Rams to keep believing, right? And I think you believe because of the locked-in series. Now we see what they've been seeing for the whole time, and so. As long as there's that belief there that you can get those things going, you continue to build around him. You continue to put pieces around him offensively and on defense, finding ways to get that defense going up to speed. And at the end of the day, who would you rather have? Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, or what other quarterback
or
combo?
Joe Bag of Donuts.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me,
This
it's
side
like
of Kansas City, there's no argument to be made for
Right.
any other combination.
Absolutely, no doubt.
And that's why tonight, I'm rooting for every potential first-round quarterback to have his dream fulfilled. Not just the top 4, but I want Bo Nix to get drafted. I want Michael Penix. Like, I follow those guys in the pack. I want all the best for them. And when 19 becomes 14 or 13 because all those quarterbacks get selected, I think you're in a really good position in terms of where the Rams are going to be drafted.
Oh, for what's there. You want all the quarterbacks to go
want
to
a huge
filter
run
out.
on quarterbacks. I want that first hour to be quarterback.
So you're going offense in the first round
I want,
if you have a choice.
the Raiders to go up and get their quarterback. I want the Giants to go up and get their quarterback.
Broncos.
I want the Vikings to go up and get their quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Because the closer, to me, the Rams draft doesn't start until the first non-quarterback player is selected. And there's going to be a lot of offensive tackles. There's going to be a lot of receivers. There's going to be a lot of defensive talents there right in the middle of that
Well, you know
first
what
round.
hill I'm on, right? You know what hill I'm ready to die on.
No.
Defense.
Are you?
Oh, my God, yes. Come on now. Like I said, I think this offense is ready to go right now. I think you can score on just about anybody without replacements. Defense.
This is JB knows this, and I've never told you this, and I need to tell you this. There's a guy in this draft that I actually coached.
Yeah.
And it would only be right if he were able to come to LA and I was able to call his games after coaching him in high school, and that's Brock Bowers.
Ooh.
If we were able to bring Brock Bowers into this offense, you know how much more explosive it would be?
Okay.
You want to talk about anybody?
I'd be a little upset, but not too much.
But that's what I mean. Just think about it. Like, this guy, Georgia literally would give him flying handoffs. They'd hand him the ball off and say, hey, here, go do your thing, So to me, I think the more weapons you put on this offense, you can. And the draft is still so deep. This is a very deep draft, both in wide receiver and defense. I think you can fulfill and lock some things up, but that's me being selfish, right? It's a selfish need. I think it's selfish for me to want to call his games, but I think it's also selfish for the Rams to get him so that they can score more points.
I think what you're saying gets to the heart of the matter, which is I don't think the Rams stood pat last year and paid off the credit card to just hang and chill this year and start to chip away at fortifying holes on their roster again, right? Like, this feels like take a swing, go get it time because of the elements we've mentioned so far.
And that guy might be there. That's what I'm saying at night. And I hope your scenario comes to pass where all these quarterbacks go early. That pick may be there. That guy you want to take a swing at may be there this draft.
That being said, it takes 2 to tango. And there's a lot of teams across the National Football League thinking that way about this offensive-heavy, top-loaded draft. And some
of those guys need quarterbacks. So
Most of them need
good for
quarterbacks.
us, yes.
But I hope for the Rams that there is a guy or two that they would be willing to go after aggressively if the opportunity presents itself. Yeah. And I hope for the Rams that the draft falls their way, that I haven't seen a big board or a mock draft where the players in that 15 to 25 range, they all look great to me. They all seem to fill a premium need. So if one of those guys that you really like falls to you at 19, stay there and take that pick. And if for some reason it breaks against you, there's going to be plenty of teams hungry to get into that portion of the first round. And if you have a chance to throw more darts at the board, we all know that they're good at that too, based on what we saw as recently as last year.
If you have a couple guys you really like and they're not there, then okay, Les, do what you do.
Or if there's so many of the guys that you like in that band, if you're looking at, we'd be happy with 5 or 6 of these guys at 19, we can go back to the mid-20s, and we know that that's going to be our worst case scenario.
Well, I know there's in the national media you hear a lot, but I think most teams have between 22 and 26, 27 guys with first round grades, which means you're going to have a lot of guys there's going to be a lot of movement there at 19, or a little the ability to move at 19 if you need to.
I like the tension between the conviction and the humility of the Rams front office in this moment, right? You look back at last year's historically good draft class, and you watch the videos of them deciding whether or not Puka was the guy or Kobe Turner was the guy. There was both a conviction, but also a cautious hesitancy that, like, is this the right time? Is this the right place? And I think there's a lot of that tonight, having the conviction to go after the guy that you think can maximize this window that we talked about with Matthew Stafford at the switch. And then also the humility to know that, hey, we took 14 picks last year to get this number of potential starters, this number of potential reserves, this number of potential practice squad players. What's wrong with having more options in those middle rounds to try and replenish again?
Another Haley's comment to have 14 guys and that many rookies make your team and actually have an impact. Can you do that again? Is that actually possible?
Well, that's a good question. Like, what are fair expectations? And did last year skew those expectations? Is that unrealistic?
Well, on the way down, what did you see right before you hit the stairs? This big jacket, Puka's jacket.
With all of his records.
With all his records. On the back of that said pick 177. You're not going to find that again.
You never know. I'm going to be honest with you. It's you never know. Tyreek Hill was picked in the 5th round. Antonio Brown was 6th round. Like, there's some great players that have played this game that were picked in that 4th to 6th round that have made plays. At the end of the day, I think the Rams really hit on guys that could play now. Right? It wasn't like, oh, he's a future guy. He's a guy we're looking for. No, we need guys that can come in now.
Not only just play, he's a record setter.
No
at
question.
177.
And I will say this, like, remember, part of that is scheme.
Yeah.
And part of that is player, right? Puka Nacua is terrific, tough tackler, tough in general, blocking, had to do all the stuff they wanted to do. But also the scheme allowed him to do a lot of that as well. I think that's what you have to fit. I think if you look at Kobe Turner, the scheme helped him. Terrific player, don't get me wrong. And AD, the scheme, right, helped you get a lot of things. You were able to beat one-on-one a ton. And then when AD got his one-on-ones because they were double teaming you, he was able to win. So you have to make sure that I always believe this, when you're drafting to a player to start. I'm not going to draft a guy to be like, oh, well, he'll be maybe in 2 years he'll start. No, I want to draft a guy who I believe will compete to start now. Because more of those guys will help me and my roster be better as we go on.
Well, on that point, and we could think of a couple examples, names that our audience is familiar with in that first round, are the Rams a team that might be more inclined, more prepared to take an older player or a player with a medical concern that other teams might pass on, knowing that they're playing for the here and now, knowing that if you can fill a spot of need on our roster and contribute to the 2024 Rams, we'll take that over maybe a prospect with a longer horizon or a higher upside, but it's going to take a couple of years. I think that's what tonight's about. Tomorrow, the story changes. But tonight, I think you're looking for a guy who can plug and play.
Right now. Older player, like a senior. Is that what you mean?
Like Latu.
Oh, plug him in and let's go.
Thank you for picking up what I'm putting.
And let's play right now. Okay.
We've been there. We've been there.
The other thing, before I forget about Puka, though, because he perfectly illustrates the dynamic I'm talking about between conviction and humility. The Rams had a vision for him. The Rams had plenty of reason to like him and why he would fit in their system specifically. But they also had a humility that they never patted themselves on the back for drafting Puka. No matter how many records he broke last year, you asked Sean, you asked Les, they were kind of, humble and quiet about it, not like touting their draft prowess, because they took 4 other Rams before him in the 5th round. Right? So if they knew that was going to pan out the way that it did, he would not have been there.
Well, I think we had this discussion earlier about the receiver position, why it's so hard to kind of like
toughest player,
find these guys.
Toughest position to evaluate.
It's because it's your system, right? A receiver is only good as the protection that the quarterback gets and the coverage that the defense shows, right? So if he's getting double covered the whole time, then he's not going to have these type of stuff. Sean was able to put him in different positions and utilize him. His draft, the analysis of what he did in college, right? There was a lot of knocks on him. But Sean, in this offense, they were able to put him in positions to be successful. And that, to me, is the most important part of the draft. You can't draft a guy and say, look, you're a right tackle, but I'm going to play you at center. You're not putting him in position to be successful. You can't draft a big brawling running back, but want to throw the ball 30 times. That doesn't put him in position to be successful. When you draft and you say, this is what he does well, this is what we're going to use him as. And we're going to try to develop his weaknesses, what they did with Puka Nacua. They drafted him. He was a terrific blocker. He ran a lot of great in-breaking routes. That against Seattle, he caught, 70 in-breaking routes, it felt like, right? And then as the season got going, you started to see route tree or his repertoire kind of grow. And that's what you have to do in this draft.
If they find another receiver at 177 or beyond that becomes a record setter, then put Stafford in the Hall of Fame now. You know what I mean? Because
I mean, it's like this is a second receiver. He had breaking records,
just
though.
saying.
Well, there is a school of thought where it's like, Sean, we love you, but we are not going to spend a first-round pick on a receiver because we've seen what you can do with Robert Woods. We've seen what you can do with Cooper Kupp. We've seen Puka Nacua, so we're going to spend this on X, Y, or Z.
No doubt. But I wouldn't be
And you know
surprised
what
if they
Sean's
did.
going to say.
Imagine think what I can do with a first-round wide receiver,
No doubt,
right?
yes.
We'll get back to the draft in a second, but let me make a quick departure just to talk about free agency and the boxes they did check going into tonight. And I wish I could go back and put Maurice's text messages on the full screen here so that people could see his reaction when they started loading up at guard and guard Maurice. One we know and love.
Yeah.
Steve Avila bumping to center. One, Kevin Dotson came in, was arguably the best guard in the National Football League, able to bring him back as a priority. And then you go out and you make one of your competitors, Detroit, weaker by taking one of their pillars and putting him in front of Matthew Stafford.
This is something I've been crying for a long time for the Rams because I felt like the interior, especially with Jared Goff and now with Matthew Stafford, that interior rush is an issue. If you're able to eliminate that and allow a pocket where your quarterback can step up and make throws, you have a chance. But not only that, when you get on the goal line, we're just going to run dive. Like, just run the ball. Quarterback sneak. You should be mushing guys off the ball. And I always believe this, and I've said this before to you, JB, and I think, DeMarco, you've heard it as well. The one situation we don't ever talk about is the tough yard. 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. You got to get a yard to ice the game. You got to get a yard to get in the field goal range, whatever it may be. For a long time, the Rams would struggle with it. They'd have to do fly sweeps or different things to kind of manipulate the defense. Now you can just line up and get it. And that, to me, simplifies your game plan, and it makes it so much easier for the play caller. I love what they did.
Go ahead.
I would just say Dotson was a revelation. Huge monster. You wondered when he was going to be inserted into the offense, and when he did, it took off. I think part of the issue were sometimes you were overmatched at center. That's going to change because of the size now. And the guy they brought in from Detroit. When I asked about him, tell me about this guy, I got back, watched this game, and I did. And he's good, he's technical, and he's nasty.
Yeah. Fits
in perfectly well. So I agree with everything, running the football. The only issue is if you get stopped and you have to protect. That's the issue. But that's everyone's issue in the National Football League. But yeah, I love what they've done from guard to guard. You're absolutely huge. You are building to beat San Francisco, which is what you need to do in this division.
And a tackle, too. If
Yeah.
you have a chance to improve at that position for the long term tonight, I think they'd do it. But if you have to start with the 5 you have, the 6 that you have, I think they're in a good place there. They've kind of checked that box as a need on the offensive line. Similarly in the secondary, if there's a corner there that they love, would they draft him tonight? Sure. But if you had to play with the guys you brought in, including Trey White, Darius Williams, and Cam Curl at the safety level, you'd be okay, right?
Yeah.
You went through all last year with a secondary that was kind of, hit or miss on game day. And they played well. I thought Ahkello Witherspoon played his best football. Here.
Yes.
Yeah, so, if there's a corner there that you absolutely love, absolutely. But if there's also a tackle there in the same spot, I think you might go big there, wouldn't you?
Tackle what? Like right tackle?
Offensive tackle?
Offensive tackle.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying D tackle. We had that conversation too. I don't want to go there yet.
I'm going to win that one.
Yeah.
2 more I'll give you. Receiver, making sure that Demarcus Robinson is back. Tutu Atwell in his final year of his. If you have a great receiver that you like and you want to add him, great. We'll welcome him for the next 4 or 5 years. If not, you know that you can put up points with the group that you have. And then I'll just quickly interject tight end, right? We'll see Tyler Higbee's path back to the field, but bringing Colby Parkinson, a LA guy, into your mix, make sure that if Bowers is there, great. If he gets past you, you know that you can get production in that
Lazarus
position.
Higbee, zombie Higbee. You just can't kill that guy.
I would just say receiver, I think, because it's such a deep receiver draft, and don't get me wrong, there's some really good ones, you can get some great ones in the 2nd and 3rd round that can go out and be whatever you want. I think. Yeah. So, I mean, you could kind of, I've heard from a lot of teams, it's like, do you want the best one or do you want to get a good one at the 3rd for a different price, right? At a cheaper price.
You got a
And
quarterback, so you can play with it. Yeah. What was the game where Robinson caught the back end of the football in the end zone? Was that Baltimore?
I thought it was the Saints.
No, underneath the goalpost at
Yeah,
SoFi?
where Stafford
Yeah.
threw an absolute BB and he caught the back
Yeah,
end.
it looked like it was in the second row already,
Yeah.
and he somehow brought
What
it back.
game was that?
I think that was the Saints.
That's Thursday Night Football, yeah.
I said, I love you right there. Like, oh my God, yes, if you can keep doing that, you can be a problem. I'm so happy they brought that guy back. And they got him for a song, which is awesome.
Yeah, so some good moves in free agency, investing around Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford, keeping this window open. We'll see what they can add tonight at 19 or above or behind. Any final thoughts?
Just can't wait. I'm so excited.
You come
You'll be
back here
getting-
tomorrow?
Yeah, you'll be getting a text from me tonight. I'll text the group.
And DeMarco, you're heading down to the pier with me.
Absolutely, can't wait. There's a field down there.
There is a 60-yard field down there.
What shoes you got on? Let's race.
Gamers.
Let's go. Come on.
What would make you jump in the ocean tonight?
Ooh. Well, can I say a name?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just say if they take this D tackle that I absolutely love,
You jump in?
I'll jump in the ocean.
Ooh.
Yeah. If they take the D tackle at 19, I will jump in the ocean.
What if they take him at 23?
If they take him at 19, I will jump in the ocean.
If you are in the area, make sure you join us tonight and Friday night too, tomorrow night at the Rams Draft Experience at the Hermosa Beach Pier. You're going to NFL Network. We won't see you tonight, but we'll
yeah.
catch you back here tomorrow for another pre-draft show presented by Zillow.
Yes, I'll be here.
Good deal. All right, live coverage of the draft, breaking down all the Rams picks. We'll be joined by a handful of Rams players too, tons of entertainment. Good vibes tonight on the sand. For DeMarco Farr from Maurice Jones-Drew, I'm JB Long. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Rams pre-draft show presented by Zillow.